All right, folks, we are back. And this today is part two with Dustin from Ethereal Comics. Um, Dustin had got sick last week and
Yeah, that sucked.
he had to jump off. And hey, guess what? Shit happens. That's what happens. You get sick, and that's what it is. I've been sick. My whole family was sick this week. And so, guess what? It's what happens. And you got to just roll with it.
For sure. It's definitely going around. Like it is
Yeah.
it is going around. Well, we're gonna do a giveaway for you guys tonight too. So
Oh,
I'm
that's
gonna give
awesome.
away a copy of If It Hops. So you guys just reach out to Nate and we'll whoever he decides to whatever viewer he decides to give it away to, we'll make sure you guys get it.
Definitely. I will make it fun. They got to work for
Oh, they gotta work. I like
it.
that. You gotta
We
work
don't give like I'm giving actually it's funny. I'm actually doing a big giveaway right now, a Halloween giveaway,
oh, right on, right on.
from Joel Gomez. So
Very
Joel
cool.
gave me some original artwork and then I
Nice.
had some extra stuff from him. So we're doing this big giveaway and like it was such a basic thing. Just go look at the page, follow Joel, comment what was your favorite Halloween character, and then you get a free $300 commissioned artwork sketch cover.
That's pretty dope.
And then I'm giving a couple of extra Sworn Fest comics and prints to go
Nice.
with it.
Oh yeah.
Um, so it's like I like doing that for people because I'm
Yeah.
trying to expand it. And I'm an independent guy. I have been for a long
For
time.
sure. Absolutely.
So if it's gonna be like Coffin or Ethereal or anything like that, I want to support you guys. And bring
Well, we
that up.
appreciate that, dude. Very much so. I'm sure
So
Brian does too. We all appreciate stuff like that.
all right, welcome in Solo and Dukong. But yeah, we were kind of talking before we got live, guys, and one thing we want to talk about was covers. So
Right on.
I I brought one. We just had it come
Theater
out
stuff.
not too long ago. Theater
Yeah.
7. This is the preview of it. April kind of gave me a hint on the first issue, like what was going to happen. And so I kind of like,
That was
all
a lot
right,
of fun. Theater
it's good.
seven was a blast.
And this is not for us. Let's just say this is not safe for work, and it's not safe for around your kids.
I
So,
don't think anything we put out is. You know what? Actually, the listener, you could probably get away with the listener at work, but I don't think you could get anything with else.
well, I mean, if it hops, I mean, really, when I read it and going through it, it seemed like just like a normal day for any normal human person. Like
Absolutely.
like you get up, you get showered. It's not it's not put into that sexualized
For sure.
context. It's just I'm getting up, I'm getting changed, I'm doing this.
Right.
It's the emphasis wasn't on that; it was on the actual story of what was
For sure.
going on.
Yeah, her
Uh,
life is. It's important for you guys to. Um, so we have to in our books. We're already trying to make it so we're suspending your disbelief already. So if the more you connect with characters and the more realistic a character feels, it doesn't matter what they look like or what anything like that, but the more normalized they are, the easier it is for you to connect with a character. So that's one reason that Peter Parker has done so well over the years, is because, well, before Brand New Day, but whatever.
yeah,
He was that character that you could connect with and vibe with on a normal individual level. So I've always thought that our characters should be able to be um, relatable. Like C's a lot of fun and she's easy to work with because she feels like, to me, she feels like a normal individual. She doesn't feel like a superhero. She doesn't feel like anything above and beyond your normal life. So it's a lot of fun to work with the character. But cover wise, I think we had 20 for that issue.
a
We did
lot.
have quite a few. We had quite a few for that issue. And I always do that with the first issues. Like it's funny because um, I've, as I've collected from all different spectrums and reasons for collecting myself.
Mm,
So it's like when you go, I like If It Hops, okay, but I would really like If It Hops if it had covers by my favorite artist.
Yeah.
So if you drop in 10 different artists, then all of a sudden now you've got wild editions for all those 10 different artists as well. But now all of a sudden they're going, oh shoot, that's my favorite individual, whether it male, female, whatever, what have you, is doing covers for that. I'm gonna go after those covers. So we always try to make it accessible to individuals, especially on the first issues. So it's like, okay, cool. Well, you found a spot. This is, a good reading point because it's issue one. You're jumping in, and now you've got your favorite artist cover on there. You know, so like I think issue two has 18, so it doesn't have that many much left, but it's got a good variety in there. Um, Mike DeBalfo's on this one, Marissa Pope's on this one. Um, you've got Lena Dye, of course, is on
Hmm.
there. There's a bunch of really really cool folks on this particular issue's covers that I'm excited to see and really, really hyped about it. We've also got a new one from an artist, and now I can't find their name because I'm ridiculous like that. But Leighton,
Ah,
what is Leighton's last name? Um, I don't know, but it's incredible. I've never seen anything like it before. It's very, very different. If you follow me on Facebook, it's actually like my banner on Facebook right now. That's a very, very cool cover. It's very interesting. It's very painted. But yeah, we jump around with covers. We're doing metals again. We're doing foils again. I don't know that we're doing any glow in the dark for this one. I'm sure we'll do maybe um, if it all pans out, maybe because we've got some really cool Halloween covers for this one. So we might see a few of them. It'd be pretty cool.
so when the next Kickstarter we're gonna kick off?
Not today, but this Friday coming up.
Okay.
So it'll be if it hops two will come out. Um, so you guys will be able to check that out. Um, and we're also we've already got the additional 6 pages written. So I'm sure you guys are excited about those. That was a very they were very popular 6 pages in the last issue. So we're hyped about that, and we're hyped to show you guys some more about Ryoshi and the writer and stuff like that. So you guys will get a little bit more of that in that issue. Um, but yeah, on the 21st, and we're actually bringing statues into this one. I think the statues are 375 a piece, but we're only doing 10 of them. But they're 8 inches tall, hand painted, and they're super dope. Like no wonky eyes on our statue, guys. I promise.
No cat eyes like here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
none of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
No, no, none of that stuff. And then the sticker sheets are on there. I say sticker sheets, they're not sheets, but the stickers are on there. And then we've also got the new season of pillowcases will be on there, which are great fun. Everybody enjoys the pillowcases. So there's actually one behind me on the chair.
Yeah, I see that one
Um,
behind you.
but yeah, so the new pillowcases season starts. I know April's got a pillowcase, and Blade and Hunter has a couple, so they'll be good ones.
Yeah, I like to see, like, for me, I'm a coin guy. So
Yeah,
like
yeah,
coins, poker chips, those
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
things.
for
You
sure,
know,
for sure.
yeah. So anytime I see that on a Kickstarter, it's like, I mean, if it's an extra $5 or $10 for as an add-on,
Right.
just
We
do
almost
it.
did it. We almost did the challenge coins, and I had I was reading it wasn't like a mockumentary, but I was reading a just something somebody'd written about gimmicks, and I was looking at it and I was like, oh shit. Like top three is poker chips on all these things. And I was like, I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to do what other people are doing. So
Mm,
I know that our newest one that we've done recently was coasters,
mm.
like legit coasters. I'm pretty hyped about that. I haven't seen them yet, but the artwork on them is great. So But yeah, I really like the challenge coins. Like I really, really like them. But versus the poker chips, but it was like I really don't want people thinking I'm just like throwing shenanigans at them. You know what I mean? Like it makes me so nervous because I'm like, oh yeah, we did some cool stuff and people enjoyed the cool stuff. Like we did soap. Like we did soap like a year and a half ago for the listener, and it was like it smelled like gunpowder, whiskey, and like some kind of wood. And it was great and it did well, but it was like $10 a bar,
Mm.
and like that was just to have it produced. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was like, okay, I still have a bar of it because I won't fucking use it. I'm like, it's 10 goddamn dollars just to make the bar.
Yeah.
19.99 to buy the bar. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, I've still got my bar. But we also did we did dice. We did D20 sets of dice,
Mm.
and that was cool. And they look like bones, like colored like a bone would be like a worn bone. That was pretty cool. We've done some neat stuff, man. But it's always come back to like the tried and true normal stuff. Your stickers, your mini prints,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But the add-ons are getting cooler. Like the pillowcases, the statues. Next year will be action figures. There's all kinds of cool stuff. No, it's not a $40,000 campaign just to get action figures made. Trust me.
It ain't a
Uh,
McFarlane.
oh man, I'm not poking at nobody. I'm just saying $40,000 campaigns just to make action figures is kind of whatever. They are expensive. There's no bullshit there. They're expensive, but not 40K or bust. You know what I mean? That's a bit rough.
Well, I
Um,
will talk about it because I'm one of the guys that bought it, you know.
right on.
And when you don't get what you were promised,
Mhm,
with articulation and things like that,
mhm,
that's what
for
gives
sure.
you that ultimate, like, not not that you want to support that creator anymore.
Right. Yeah,
When
yeah.
you're told it's going to have all this, but it doesn't, and then you start a whole new company called Multiverse,
Right, right.
and then you get the actual ones in for $20 versus the $200 set
Uh-huh.
that I bought. Yeah,
Yeah,
this one
man.
got sold real fast. The $200 set.
Yeah, yeah. I can't mess around with stuff like that, man. I'm too nervous to do things that I can't control. You know what I mean? If I can't control it when it comes to for you guys, you know what I mean? Like if I can't be like I have to have my fingers in everything. Like literally
Mhm.
like everything. I'm not a micromanager when it comes to our team, but I still have to be involved. I still have to know that if we're changing something, like if all our artists have artistic liberties, right? So it's
Mhm.
like if we're changing let's say it's a monster or a bad guy in a book, even if they're only going to be in the book for 3 or 4 panels and you never see them again, they're going to die in some kind of amazing fashion. They still have to be as cool as we want them to look, right? It
Yeah.
can't look like it was like, fucking phoned in, because then I'm like, well, that's ass, and I'm upset with it. And even if other people like it, but if I'm upset with it and I don't like it, I can't look at it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I'm like, that shit, I don't want to put that out. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, it could be the coolest cover in the world, and everybody's like, oh, it's the fucking dopest thing. And I'll be like, nah, that shit does not move. Like, I'm not even putting it out because you guys deserve the best product we can put out because fans are the lifeblood of the industry. They're literally the lifeblood of the industry. Like when people reach out to us and they're like, well, can we get a pillow? I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I have pillow orders going out. I can't put your pillow out until I've put everybody else's pillows out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Kickstarter guys and gals are the ones that their stuff goes out first. You know what I mean? If you ordered, cool. Understand that it'll go out and it won't be much longer, but know that it has to go out after the Kickstarter goes out. I can't give you stuff before the Kickstarter stuff goes out. You know what I mean? Um, like we have street dates. So like if our books are going to be in the shop in December, I can't sell people online copies of something in November. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's not fair to anybody. Um, so those are things that are very important to us. Like when you look at right now, fallen leaves, I get messages every day. Hey, can we order the elf book? Hey, can we order the elf book? You can order it, you know what I mean? But it's a pre-order, just like everybody else's was. You know, you're still gonna have to wait till December because December is when it arrives for stores. I can't give it to you before, because that's the date that we gave everybody at the beginning. You know what I mean? I can't change my street date, and even the artists, like our artists won't even like, and our artists, they buy their own books, you know what I mean? Or
Mhm.
they buy them for cost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not really a comp because they're picking it up themselves, but it's like they still don't get theirs until the street day. You know what I mean? Because as much as I want them to sell their books and their copies and make more money, it still has to do with that date. You know what I mean? We can't be like, hey, look, we're gonna sell to 10 different people early, but then what happens if they go and sell the books early? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or they move the books early. That's not fair to anybody. We used to feel like that about I owned a brick and mortar for 2 years. None of the books got sold early. Just because they came in Tuesday, you didn't get them Tuesday. They went out Wednesday.
That's right.
It didn't matter who you were. You could have been the fucking president. You'd have got your books Wednesday morning, just like everybody else. You know, and that's how we run business. Everybody deserves to get a fair shake. You can't. I'll never be like, oh yeah, well Joe Blow deserves books early, and nah, you know what I mean? That's not cool. Nate ordered his books, off Kickstarter, and they're coming in on this day. But Jim Bob, he lives next door, and he's like, "Hey, look, I saw the books come in. Can I get mine?" Sorry, bud, you still can't get yours till Nate gets his books. That's how it all flows down. I actually go through the orders on Kickstarter because of the way that we do metals and the way we do the pillowcases and stuff like that. I always go and I click to the after digital sales. So I go
Mhm.
down to the very bottom of the digital sales and then I start there at costs. So whoever ordered the physical book the cheapest, theirs always goes out first because the simple fact that I want to make sure at the end of the day that it's easy to pull one book. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
easy to pull one book. So I can pull one book, two book, three books, whatever. But once you start getting into 50 and 60 books in your order, I want to make sure that everything's correct. So we take the short orders, we knock them out day one, day two, knock out short orders. Then we get to the weekend because my wife still works full time. So we get to the weekend, even though from home, but still she still works full time. But on the weekend, like it'll be Saturday morning, she and I'll go in and pull the large orders, and we'll go back and check each order to make sure they're all accurate. You know what I mean? And then we'll throw a couple extra stickers in there, and we'll throw some stuff in there. It does whatever, you know what I mean? Um, but it's like we just want to make sure that everybody's orders are right, and it's easier for us to do it together. Um, and it's easier for us to do it in a way that we can make sure the order's right if we can take our time. Like I said, the short orders are super easy. Like there's boxes of Even Hops on the floor behind me that
Mhm.
need to go up in my office. But what I'll do is I'll put the If It Hops books down when they come in, and then I'll go through them and I'll pull all the orders,
Mhm.
you know, and then I'll be like, okay, well now we're up to like 15 issue orders, 16 issue orders. Let's pull these, and then I'll go in and I mean after we count them, first we count all the books that come in. That's the very first thing we do. Because if you have to order books, you want to order them as soon as you can possibly order them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because no one wants to wait. I'm not saying not the consumers don't want to wait. You yourself as well, because now you're like, oh shit, I got to order two more foils because they got jacked up. Well, if you have time, because the way that we pre-order, we do the 90 days, just like Previews does.
Yeah.
So if the stuff comes in wrong, that gives me plenty of time to reorder it and make sure everybody gets the correct stuff. No one wants to go, oh man, you're gonna have to wait 3 more weeks because da 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 da. You know what I mean? Because your book didn't come in. Now, what happens if there's like an act of God?
Oh
Now all of
yeah.
a sudden, now you're not just 3 weeks. Now you're plus the act of God time on top of it, and you're just like, fuck, man. You know what I mean? So you got to make sure that you can do it all in a timely fashion. So we've got it down to a pretty good science. And as we get larger, we've like my sister comes over and my brother-in-law comes over and they help pull, but they're paid employees, so you guys aren't getting shit. They're literally paid employees by the hour, so if they fuck up,
Don't
that's
get paid.
on them, you know what I mean? And they know it. They don't, any order that's fucked up, they get it's a certain amount of money that comes off, because then I got to go back and redo the order. And I check all the orders anyway. So it's like it's a system. They're checked
Yeah.
multiple times to make sure they're all correct. But I enjoy it. I enjoy putting the orders together and sending the books out, because the way that we work, um, we're doing so much that I'll forget a cover. Like I'll forget we even made a cover. And when it comes in, I'm like, holy shit, look how cool that is. That's awesome, you know, because as soon as a book is done, dude, I'm literally on the next book. Like I'm on it. Like right now, I think I'm 6 books ahead of you guys. Like I'm literally like 6 books ahead of you guys. So, and that's not even in production. 6 books. Like the listener is, we printed up to issue 4 so far. I'm 37 issues edited for that book.
Holy
You
crap.
Yeah, I'm way ahead on that book. I'm way ahead on Greed. BGD, I'm a few issues ahead. If it hops, I'm a few issues ahead. Generally, I stay 3 to 4 issues ahead. But the listener was one I had spent a lot of time with, like a lot of time with. Um, and then we're working on the collectible cards. We're working on the blister packs. We're working on all kinds of other shenanigans. So there's a lot to see.
Well, and a good example too, though, is like when we as Kickstarter guys or even just normal orders, that process from you ordering the books,
Mhm.
getting it to the printer. Oh shit, the printer's down. Printer's down, not just for you, but
Right,
for anybody who
right,
ordered it. So if say there was 16, 20 people ahead of you, they're still
yeah,
going to go ahead of you before you get back in line to print
yep,
because they were before you. Their orders were, they always go by order.
absolutely. Well,
I used to work for CBCS, so
oh, right on, yeah. So
I know
yeah, so like if they run out of toner, you're
yeah,
fucked.
oh, you are screwed. Or even better, when COVID happened and all the paper, we had a paper shortage, across the board. Like you couldn't buy bags and boards, you
Right.
couldn't get boxes, you couldn't get paper. So all printers were like slow rolling because
Yep.
you didn't have any.
Well, I think it's cool that the fans understood things like that. That was a very tumultuous time period. You know what I mean? Thankfully, all our books went out on time. I think If It Hops has been the longest process for us because of it. We had printer issues with that issue, and
Mhm.
then not only that though, we had a massive amount of metals. We had a massive amount of pillows. And it was like, okay, so how long is it going to be, Dustin? Well, international stuff is really kind of janky right now, so
Yeah.
it took us a little bit longer. Normally, like If It Hops should have all been out, in my opinion, by the first week of October. Now it'll all be out by the end of next week. But that's the extra stuff. That's the metals and the pillows. That's not even all the regular stuff is out.
Yeah.
So, but then we got Greed comes in. FedEx just said Greed was coming in coming in Sunday. So I'm like, okay,
Nice.
it's really cool because I joked with you earlier about the fact there is no sleep in comics,
Mhm.
and like right now with Greed coming out and going to you guys as soon as it gets here, Um, thankfully that we didn't have any issues with printing or anything with that one, so it'll go out as soon as it gets in, which means they'll all probably be out by next weekend. And then you've got Theater 7, which will, oh man, it's already ready to print, but there's a few things I got to fix for that particular issue. Um, thankfully, the Mass, Devin Mass is really cool. Then we've got Dan Kemp color in that book,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of things that when you start moving into the upper echelon of comic books and you start moving into the higher tier artists and the published, like I joke about the fact that Ethereal is a lot like Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah.
You've got all the amazing shit going on, but there's five motherfuckers running it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you got five people handling the jobs of like 30 people. So if acts of God do happen, it's like that where you're like, oh shit, everybody's hands on deck for like a week to fix whatever's, you know what I mean? Whether it's a piece of art, whether it's line work, whether it's a sizing issue, which thankfully we normally don't have any issues with sizing, but every now and then you'll find that there'll be a color difference. So
Yeah.
your editor's looking at your colors and they're going, and the editor is me. So if you've had the flu for fucking 2 weeks and you're going through there and you're like, oh yeah, that looks like it's supposed to look right. And then somebody's like, hey asshole, that's the wrong color. And you're like, oh shit, get that to, somebody to fix it. And we work with so many incredible people though that it's literally like a phone call to get a file fixed.
Yeah.
And right now we employ like 9 different colorists. So, and all of them are super, super talented. So they can easily go, oh, yeah, I see what they were doing. This is what it should be. You know what I mean? And they'll knock it out in a matter of minutes. I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't have a full staff. Like I would not know what to do. I'd probably still be one of those dudes putting out a book every 3 months if
Oh
I didn't have
yeah.
a full staff. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it's really cool to watch these folks and the symbiotic relationships that they've created. Like I noticed that there are artists that'll be like, "Man, I need something colored on the fly," and they have a particular member of the team that they'll reach out to and be like, "Hey, can you color this real quick?" Da 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 da. It's a really interesting thing. And we're prepping into moving into different areas. So like we just hired a audio manager, which he's awesome, really, really cool guy. So you guys will get the ethereal like official opening title sequence, which is gonna be really, really neat because we're trying to get a pilot set up for a show by the end of next year to turn in. So and that's insane. That's insane. Um, I thought making comics was expensive.
Oh.
Moving into television, and as from an engineer's perspective, that's what my degree's in. I'll make
Mhm.
rigs all day, but it's like when you go to have someone else do it, it's crazy, like absolutely crazy. Um, so we're really, really excited. There's a lot on the pot right now, or in the pot, proverbial pot. But we've also got the second brand starts this month.
Yeah, buddy.
So yeah, yeah, April Reina and Ethereal After Dark. Yeah, she's got her. She's already got 4 IPs for the brand,
Nice.
so that's exciting. Um, oh man, there's some wild stuff coming out over there. Like I don't even know what half that stuff is, um, but I'm
Well,
okay with it. It's
it's
cool.
funny, like April does Kinktober, and
Yeah, yeah,
and that was kind of like the branch that's kind of went that way.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
because before Ethereal, April kind of worked with everybody,
Hmm.
and she still does some, but I've seen her like predominantly just like stay Ethereal now.
Yep.
You
Well,
know,
she manages that brand now, so she's
yeah.
very like she's very brand loyal. We love working with April. I wouldn't know what to do without her.
Mm-mm.
But she's she's moved her Squee books, her Kinktober books, over to Ethereal After Dark.
Mhm.
This will be the first release. I think that's actually the 21st as well. That drops for
Yep.
pre-order. The cool thing about that now, though, more so than ever, is you guys can request copyrighted characters to be used in the artwork that you're requesting. Um, Holy shitballs! I've seen some of it. My poor bunny. Y'all ask for horrible things to happen to my poor characters. Let me tell you. Um, Agent C, she gets worked up a little bit over there.
Mhm.
But she's also got a penny piece from Theater 7 that they're doing over there. She's got some of our elves over there right now that she's doing some stuff with. Um, but it's a lot of fun because you guys request one of the days of the month, and then they're themed days. So you pre-order yourself one of the themed days. They're pretty wild, and it's cool stuff. Like it's super super cool. I know that Lieris Cross, who
Mhm.
does our book Underland, which the preview came out a couple months ago.
Yeah.
The full release is in November. She does all the interior artwork and colors for Underland, and it's beautiful. She's actually got a book called Rain that she puts out that she's actually bringing to Ethereal After Dark. So you guys will be able to pick that up. I think the next issue comes out in January, if I'm not January, February,
Okay.
right around then. Um, so not only will you have 1 to 2 books a month from Ethereal on the blue side, you'll start seeing the red side dabbled in every couple months. So that's really thrilling to know that that's already taken off in that direction, because it's just been a thought, in our heads for about 8 months. Bladen and I have talked about it, and what we could do, because none of us are ignorant, right? So,
Yeah.
like, when it comes to our characters, we understand the eye candy. We understand the concepts. I'm a very big story guy. Like, I'm a very very big story guy. Like, if the story doesn't work, I don't give a shit what it looks like. It's not gonna work for me if the story's not good. So, like, when it comes to like Penny and Theater 7, um, the fan art that I got, I was not expecting. I was not prepared for.
Mhm.
Um, it was cool. I get a lot of it, and it's cool. But I don't think I look at the characters like other people look at them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's almost like your children, right? So you're putting your children out there, and I get that some of my children have big boobs and run around naked. I understand it. But when other people talk about it, it seems so funny to me. Like they'll be like, "Oh, did you see that nude like 11 by 17 that one of the ethereal artists did of Penny or whatever?" And I'll be like, "No, I didn't fucking see it. Do you want to see it? No, I'm all right." You know what I mean? It's cool though. I hope you guys dig it. You know what I mean? I don't need to see it. Um, because it's funny. I don't know what I look like naked, but I can tell you what our characters look like naked. You know what I mean? Like I just you see them all the time. Like um, it's so much so that we get desensitized to seeing them. You know what I mean? Like it's another day at the office. When people are like, "Oh man, did you see that dope ass piece? That wild cover." You're like, "Yeah, it's really really pretty," because that's what it is. It's really pretty art to me. You know what I mean? So when I turn around, they're like, "No, did you see what's going on it?" And I'm like, "I no, I couldn't really tell you." You know what I mean? I couldn't. I don't know, but it's it's a really cool concept when people are like they bring up their favorite stories or their favorite ethereal characters. Like if you're at a show, somebody will come up and I can't wait till the next issue of this comes out or the next issue of that comes out. But we to me, I forget because I'm literally like, again, as soon as one issue's done, I'm in it. You know what I mean? It's next issue time. Like I don't have the wherewithal to be like, man, did you see how good this did or how great people's opinions are of it? Yeah, folks liked it, I think, right to the next project. You know what I mean? There's no, and eventually that'll change because as we build and we're continue to grow the company, more and more people will be involved. You know what I mean? And it
Mhm.
won't be so on the nose all the time. But right now, you guys deserve that. You deserve that on the nose attention. So I literally, I've worked more hours doing this than any other job I've ever had in my whole life. And it sounds funny to say that, but it's literally like you don't think about, like, when you're on the computer, right? You're on a computer, you're playing a video game, you're whatever, time flies. Like it flies, and I'll be on here at like 9 o'clock when everybody goes to bed, and I'll get up at like 4 o'clock and not even realize it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And at 6, I got to drive my daughter to school. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I will have totally not even paid attention to anything because I get into these zones. Like, actually, I'll show you guys something cool. Let me see if I can find it. I get into these zones where I'll be like, okay, well, we're like right now we're working on a book called Frog Legs, and Frog Legs has my attention like nobody's business right this second because it's literally like it's not an issue 2, it's an issue 1. So everything has to be just right. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like every single thing has to be perfect in a way that I I can safely be like, okay, I'm comfortable with leaving this alone, and you guys can, handle everything to do with it because I'm really, really happy with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, um, it's a very interesting concept. Here, hold on, let me show you this. Uh, I forget we're not on my fucking StreamYard. Hold on. So like, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So if you go to, oh, there's some if it hops covers. Uh,
Ooh.
you go to downloads, and then like we'll pull this up. So this is page 8 from Frog Legs, right? So we're looking through here, and we're looking because it's all rough. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So you're going, okay, is this exactly how I want it to look? Because the minute I say yes, then it goes to ink. You know what I mean? Now we're going and we're adding the details, we're adding the fine lines. Um, it has to be just right because it's not fair to Elberty if I approve it and then we have to go through and he has to change things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we go through, we make sure it's okay. I think you guys will really enjoy Frog Legs. It has to do with it's in the world of the listener. They share the same world. And so you'll see characters from Greed in it every now and then. You'll see characters from the listener in it. But primarily it's a very standalone book. But I wanted it to be in that world so I could use the lore in that world with it. It's actually about a dude that is a chef that's graduated from college and culinary school that used to live in Louisiana. He's moved back to Louisiana to open his own tiny little restaurant, called Mudbugs. And he meets this Creole chick, and she's bad. She's a bad chick. And but she ends up being our main protagonist throughout the story. So it's a lot of fun. Um, it's a almost like a gender bent take on a superhero and his lady love, like we've seen so often, versus the powerful character being the female character, the male character being the sidekick, if you will. You know, so it should be a lot of fun. So you can see a lot of voodoo stuff there, and that book has tested my dialogue abilities like no other, like no fucking other. Um, to the point where I was taking classes, watching videos, like hours upon end, trying to make sure that I did it right. Because back in the day, when we were kids, we always thought Gambit had the best accent. You know, he had the
Yep, the Creole.
right, but it wasn't fucking real.
No, it's not.
Like it was
It's
bullshit. So like when I got into it, I was like, this is all bullshit, you
Yep.
know? And I'm like, because when I write BGD, we have Maya in it, and
Mhm.
Maya speaks Spanglish. You know, it's very
Yep.
broken dialogue between the two different languages, and that's okay. You know, that's a very normal thing in the United States, I think, in my opinion, anyway. But when it comes to the Creole stuff, it was like, who the fuck do you know that speaks Creole? You know what I mean? Or even like, you know, Cajun or Cajun French. You know what I mean? Because there's like 4 languages in that like state alone
In
that are,
Louisiana, down the bayou.
man. So I had a lot of fun with it. Getting the dialogue right on that one. And I think everybody will enjoy it. We dropped that book in January or February, depending on how Alberti feels about it and the inks and stuff. Will as we get closer to it. But we've also got My Metal Girl coming up, and My Metal Girl is going to be fantastic. It's all the interiors are done by Mitch Massey, Devin's
Oh
brother,
yeah, Devin's brother.
and it's very reminiscent of like your late 80s, early 90s manga type of stuff, but it is full color. Uh, I've I found most of our fans are really enjoy the color versus black and white, which is cool. I had never done a black and white book before, but bringing on the Massies, I was like, man, maybe we'll make the attempt, you know. So, but the feedback was generally, you know, people enjoy the color work, so it'll definitely stay in color. And it's the first love story I've ever written, My Metal Girl. Had a lot of fun with that too. I think you guys will really enjoy it. It's very like balls to the wall action, like very balls to the wall. Like it's a lot of fun versus like the horror that I write in like BGD and you know if it hops. And the same thing with the listener. My Metal Girl is like very action oriented.
Mm.
Like if you're into fucking chicks throwing down or big explosions or you know your Dragon Ball stuff, anything like that, you'll probably really enjoy My Metal Girl. With less filler than Dragon Ball, um, but they're a lot less filler. But it's a lot of fun. It's a good time. You know the two main characters, you know, they get caught up in this like love triangle. Um, but I don't have a main character that is the traditional like I'm scared of girls type of thing. That's not a I'm not about that. I just can't get down with it. You know, everybody's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, you know, it's just the genre. Fuck that. I don't know how to write that because I was never that dude.
Mm-mm.
I was never intimidated. You know what I mean? I if a situation put me in a cool situation, I was going to take advantage of the cool situation I got put in. It was never going to be like, oh yeah, I got to go home when the cool situation starts. I wasn't that guy, so I can't write from that perspective. Um, but I think everybody will enjoy it as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, big action, big color. You know, very interesting. Like very very interesting stuff. And then, oh my gosh, what else we got coming out early January? We've got Kill Cam, um, which may or may not drop with our Christmas book. If
Ooh.
it's done, it'll drop with the Christmas book. If it's not, we'll see. I'd like to hope it is, but it's a brand new series, so it's you know we haven't given the cover artist a lot of time with it, so we may push it back a couple months. But it's a lot of fun. It's about 3 chicks that are bounty hunters in space, and it's also slapstick, lewd humor. So that should be a lot of fun. They literally like record their shenanigans in space. Like they're, you know, taking selfies with guys that they've just like, you know, are taking in for the rewards and stuff. And Um, a lot of great artists on that. Blade Hunter's doing all the interior artwork for that book. So if you enjoy Different Ops or you enjoy BGD, you're definitely going to enjoy Kill Cam.
That
Space
reminds me of the heavy metal segments, from the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
They're all doing the bounty hunter thing, and then they all get whacked.
yeah. I'm a big fan of heavy metal. If you pay attention to the brand, you'll actually see numerous team members of heavy metal that are also team members of ours. So the current iteration of heavy metal.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, we try to make sure that there's a variety of different books, different genres, different styles that you guys are getting into. You know, we've actually got a writer that's working on a that I'm editing with, who's doing a mech series. So that should be a lot of fun. It's almost like I'll call it ethereal Star Trek. So that should be really really neat. He's a great dude. He's been writing for a long time. Gene, he's a good dude. And you guys will get to see his first piece will be out, I think, middle next year. The first issue of that's supposed to drop. And that's literally like, you're a big Evangelion fan, Transformers fan type of guy. Well,
yeah,
so like, I didn't want to go anything that large.
yeah,
So the mechs in this are like quarter size of what you'd get from, almost like a jazz size from Transformers, or a Bumblebee
yeah,
versus your Optimus
yeah.
Prime, your huge Transformers and stuff, or your giant mechs. I wanted to stay away from that, your Gundam stuff, because that's, it's been done. So we wanted to make sure that we did something on a more believable level, you know. And that'll be cool because his stuff is all about like first contact and how the world will react. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. And then we've also got, um, holy shit, our annual will start next year. So that the first annual that comes out will be called These Neon Streets. And These Neon Streets is, back in the day, Image used to do something with new artists, new writers.
Hmm.
They used to put out
Yeah.
a book. I can't remember what it's called, but they would put out like short stories,
Uh,
like a combined book.
was
Darker
it
Image, is that what it's called? Was it Dark?
Darker Image, and then they had Image Presents.
There you go. So what we're doing is something like that, where newer artists and newer writers that we have will have their own short stories in this anthology, and it's called These Neon Streets. These Neon Streets is actually the first one, and it's all short stories from the world of Babes Gore Dinosaurs. And you may or may not have ever seen the characters before, so it's brand new content. Um, and that's a great, great time. Like JT Malloy's doing interiors for that one.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, then you got Ed Garcia from he's doing some stuff in there. Uh, David Campo, Blade Hunter, April Reyna's doing stuff in there. Um, it's going to be a good one. I'm really excited about it. JT Malloy's stuff is already done, so that looks great. He did this really cool. So what I did with everybody was I gave them a beginning, middle, and end. So I co-wrote these stories with everyone, and it was a lot of fun to see where their minds took them to get them to the destinations where I wanted them to be. And JT's is really, really cool. It's oh my gosh, like it's something like I've never done before. Like it really is. It's almost like um, a very in your face twist. Like you could, I mean, it's only like 6 pages, but it's like you think you've got it, you think you've got it, and you really have zero clue. And it was so much fun to put out. And then Chuck Pinnell wrote one, and April's doing the artwork for that one. And that's a Romeo and Juliet type of story, which is really, really fun. Um, and then you've got Ed Garcia's, and that was written by Andy Graff. and Andy has never worked in comic books, but I've known him for many, many years now, and he's got a mind like a steel trap. So I was like, you know what? Let's see what we can't, accomplish. Get you out of your comfort zone. He's a big fantasy fan. So I was like, you know what? We'll put something together. And the pages came out beautiful. They still have to be colored, but they came out really, really good. Um, but we're on it, man. We're on it on so many different projects right now. And like we're all over the country. We're doing stuff all over the country. Like we were just in Vegas, and there was like 7 of us in Vegas. 7 of us. Man, it was so cool. Like it was so cool. Um, because like there were like 4 of us at one set of tables, and then 3 of us scattered around the building. So we were literally sending people back and forth all over the building to get books signed. It was a lot of fun. Um, but I don't think I'm doing any more shows this year, just due to the holidays and stuff like that. But I am trying to book some in-store signings, so you guys will see me all over the country still, different stores, because it's easier for me to fly in, do a book signing at a shop with another artist or writer of ours, and then fly out like the next morning than it is to do the big shebags and stuff with Christmas coming up and birthdays and Thanksgiving and stuff. So,
Well,
uh,
and the big conventions are done for the year.
oh yeah,
NYCC's done.
absolutely.
So I mean, I love to see you guys come to Texas. I mean, April lives in
Man,
Texas too, so come
we
on down.
will. We are all about that. The reception we received in Phoenix and the reception we received in Vegas was huge. It's huge. And like I'm from the East Coast, you know what I mean? I
Mhm.
live in Tennessee now, but I grew up on the East Coast. And so like all the shows that I would do would be on the East Coast, and everything all the stores and stuff we were in, everything's on the East Coast. And all of a sudden people were like, well, you got to branch out. You know what I mean? You got to go other places. And I was like, damn, dude, 30, 40, 50% of our sales are in the west side of the country.
Yeah.
I gotta get over there. So when we did Phoenix, it was amazing. Like it was absolutely incredible. The feedback, the fan response, and then like I said, Vegas was huge for us. So Texas is on my list of must do's.
Hmm.
Currently, we have this big ass list right now of places that we're trying to get to next year, and it's fun because I got April over there setting all this stuff up and where we're going and what we're doing, and it's like she'll be like, "Well, we need to go here," and I'm like, "All right, well, let's get booked for over there." You know what I mean? Let's get it all set up. Um, because people are already booking like now for next year, and it's like that shit's bananas. Because I was looking at things that I was like, I'm at like $7,000 and shit before, like, and that's not counting like where we'll be a guest or anything. You know what I mean? That's just like where I want to go.
No. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, oh yeah, well, book here, book here, book here. Oh yeah, well they're taking payments already. I'm like, fuck, let's just keep going down the list, because I can't get one table anymore. One table doesn't work for us, so I've got to get like a publishing like
3 table. Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? A couple of places have been really, really cool about it. Instead of doing like the one table or 2 tables, we can buy a like one of the round things. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Circular. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool in my opinion because it's like, okay, well, that sets us up so we can have team members around the entire thing. And people can walk around and talk to everybody and see everybody. Um, I'm a big fan of that. I like that a lot because the interaction is important, dude. Like the interaction is so important. I mean, it's cool to do the live shows, and it's cool to do the book signings and the store signings and stuff. But when you can go and sit and give people time, that's an incredible experience because that's the one commodity we can't get back, right?
Yeah.
So if we're, like we don't charge for book signings, we don't charge for signatures, we don't charge for anything. So it's like outside of the product. You know what I mean? So like most of these cats are doing remarks on the cheap, you know what I mean? Or, doodling on the cheap, or even free, depending on the situation, and it's like, okay, well, here we are, we're having a good time. But you know what's cool about it is, again, you're sharing that one thing with your fans that you can't ever give like a monetary value to it. You know what I mean? You're giving your time, and that's what's so special about the fans. Their time is worth more than anything in this world. So if you guys are going to spend your time, even if it's a show, right? Even if you're spending 15 minutes of your fucking night to hang out and talk to me and Nate, that's your time. That's your
Yeah.
life. And that's the most precious gift you could share with people. So I'm about it. Like, you don't see me on live shows. Like, I do my own, and that's it. You know what I mean? Unless someone that I give a shit about asks, you know what I mean? Literally, I generally don't do them because it's like it's one of those things where I like the intimacy. I really like the intimacy. So like, if you guys want to see us, we want to come see you. You know what I mean? We want to come hang out. We want to bullshit with you.
Yeah.
Like, we did a barbecue with fans in Vegas. We did we went not only barbecued, we went out drinking with like 30 of them. You know what I mean? And we do that at every show. That's not a random thing for Vegas. If you guys are like, let's hang the fuck out, we'll wait for it and we'll hang the fuck out.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I enjoy talking to you guys about characters. I enjoy talking about development. Just about anything. It's like, you know, um, I am a fan of so many people. Myself personally, I'm a fan. So like when we get invited to dinner with Coffin, or we get invited to dinner with Zenoscope, or we get invited to, events with other artists or anything like that, it's always a really cool experience because we're getting to talk to people that we're fans of. You know what I mean? Like, um, I don't know, like hanging out with like Mike Chrome, or hanging out with, Polito, or hanging out with whoever the fuck, those are experiences that we're grateful for, not only as creators, but as fans, you know? And those little nuances and nuggets of wisdom that you pick up from cats that have been in the industry longer, those are the things that are really, really cool. Like, you don't really see me in the indie scene because I don't. I'm not a. As much as I love the indie scene, I don't have the time. You know what I mean? So it's literally like instead of me being like, oh, I'm gonna hang out with like 10 dudes that are really cool, but they're not up there. I'm gonna be like, okay, well, let's talk on the phone or something. You know what I mean? Because I got to do something. I gotta be active. I got to do things that are going to benefit my fan base, or I got to benefit my team. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that people quite understand the market. You know what I mean? It's a very dog eat dog market. So like, when you get these awesome dudes that are coming up, and I'll never forget, it was my wife who told me. We were sitting one night, and when we first started doing well, you'd get these phone calls or messages, and people would be like, "How do you do it? How do you succeed?" Well, fuck, I don't know. You just work hard. You know what
Keep
I mean?
doing it.
You know what I mean? You just go out there and you work your ass off. I don't spend my time doing bullshit. I work. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I say it all the time because it was very profound to me. But I had a guy I look up to, and he was like, "Hey, Dustin, I was real bummed out one night. I don't know what the fuck happened, but I was real bummed out one night. And I don't bitch on social media. You'll never see me cry on social media about anything. I try to be as upbeat as I can possibly fucking be. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And like, most people don't even know I was fucking sick until I said I was sick. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm fucking ill. But he was like, don't beat yourself up, because he's like, there's a million motherfuckers trying to create comic books, right? There's a million of them, but there are very few people in the actual industry. And he was like, you got it, kid. Just hang out, do what the fuck you need to do, and keep your nose clean. And after that, I was like, well, I'm never gonna feel like shit again, because this is that's
Mhm.
that's the greatest guideline I've ever been given. Just do what the fuck I need to do, and shit happens. You know what I mean? And there's nothing you can do about it. So when you come into the industry, I think people come into it with this like get rich quick mentality, which isn't real. That doesn't fucking happen.
No.
Or like I remember just recently, somebody was like, "Well, you do most of your campaigns, every single one of them over 10,000." Yes, I don't get that fucking money. That's
No.
not how that works. I might, truthfully speaking, in the past, I've been doing this for 2.5 years now, and including when I started in 2020, putting the first issue of Listener together, and so like it would be our anniversary at the end of the month of my birthday was when we released the first issue. But I'm like, man, look, when I just started being able to pay my mortgage with this, just in 2.5 years. You know what I mean? So it's like what people don't understand is yes, you see what you were supposed to see. You know what I mean? As fans, as creators, as anything. It's like that grass on the other side of the street, right? It's always greener over there until you get there. Then you get there and you're like, holy fuck, there's 40 employees over here. You're dealing with this, and this. Yes, it's not a mom and pop organization. So now when you go, well, I got an idea for a book. Cool. When you want to publish it? I don't think so. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? But I have guys that come to me every day that are like, we publish our book. We do this, we do that. And you're like, cool. Maybe, you got to go through the process just like everybody else does. I don't even, truth be told, I don't even look at the artwork that comes in anymore. It all goes through Joe Bladen, or it all goes through April. I don't even, you get to this point where you should, truthfully, you should get to this point. You should get to this point where you're not even getting to look at the stuff anymore. You really should, as a publisher. And then if you're writing as well, that's just another aspect on top of what you're doing. You know what I mean? Now you're like me. When you tell me you love If It Hops, that is the win to me. That is the win. It's not about the individual aspects of it or anything. It's not about the money that's made. It's about the fan base that's like, we really, really enjoy this book. And then I'm like, fuck, that's it. That's
Yeah.
the golden fucking fleece. You know what I mean? Because like I had a guy reach out to me the other day and he was like, I don't know why I was nervous. Every now and then I'll get nervous of silly things. But like he reached out to me and he was like, I was like, oh my God, this book get fucked up in the mail. Did something happen? Because you've got your normal day-to-day life on top of that. So you've already dealt with your normal day-to-day. And now you're like, oh shit,
Here
what's
it
going
comes.
on? And he's like, dude, If It Hops is the best $20 I've ever spent in my entire life on comic books. And I was like, you know what I mean? I'm not crying, you're crying. Fuck off. And there's this bond that you create with your fan base. And I'll say this, and again, I've been a fan of Lady Death since I was a kid, and all that Brian's been through and all that Brian's accomplished, he's the OG. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
Yeah.
Brian's the OG, and it's always gonna be that way, right? And he's been nothing but kind to me. So I'm always gonna talk the most honest about the man. And it's when you can have a fan base that is wearing patches and talking about it and showing up to events for your product, that's an incredible thing. It's an incredible thing. And that's why I'm always talking about how the fan base is the lifeblood of the industry. Literally the lifeblood of the industry. Look, man, if something's fucked up, fix it. Because that's what the fan base remembers. They remember the fix. If you owe them something, give them what the fuck you owe them. You know what I mean? Take care of them, because those are the folks that are taking care of you. I It's a little bit more personal, but I had the other day I was my daughter is 12 now. She's 12 years old, and we're going to the orthodontist to talk to him about braces. Okay, and we've got dental insurance, and Lord knows as expensive it is, it still sucks ass. But anyway, so we're there, and we're like, how much is fucking braces going to be? I'm going to give you an imaginary number. It was more than $5,000 for braces.
Yep.
So I was like, well, what does the insurance take out? What do they cover? You know, not enough, not fucking enough. So they're like, all right, well, your payments are $520 a month. And you're like, the fuck? Is that before that's before the insurance? Do you want the insurance to take out? Yes, motherfucker, take out the other portion. So then it's like $250 a month, $260 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at things like this. I look at it like a dancer looks at things, right? How many dances do I got to get before I can get that new pair of shoes? You know what I'm saying? And for those of you that don't get
Mm-hmm.
the reference, you're probably not old enough to get the reference. But if you
Yep.
do, that's what's up. So anyway, how many dances do I got to do to get that pair of shoes? So I'm over here going, how many books do we got to sell?
Yeah. How many toys?
You know what I mean? That's to get braces in the kid's mouth. You know what I mean? Because even like I said, even though my wife works full time, she got a great job. I don't like to put stress on my wife. You know what I mean? So I'm like, hey, well, let's see what we can do over here. And when Fallen Leaves came out, I was like, for the first time, I could handle my own shit. It was like, oh shit. I can actually go, well, we don't have to stress if we do this or this, and that's how you know that there's love from your fans, because not only do they pick up one book, like give you an example, X-Men, right? X-Men's been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
There are a million X books, like a million X books. Most people haven't read them all. Okay. Most people could not even give you a correct timeline for the X books. All right. It's easier now with digital media and stuff like that. But before that, for folks that couldn't get their hands on it and stuff, it's ridiculous. So they would reach out and they'd be like, well, I don't like this one, or I can't even find this one. I'm not going to try this one. It's just not my bag. But once you start seeing the same names pre order every book you put out, that's how you know that you got good fans, because now they're going, well, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to try it. It may not be my favorite that they put out, but I'm going to try it,
Mm-hmm.
And our books aren't cheap. Like, I don't put out cheap books. So, like, I don't expect anyone to come out and grab every cover. I don't expect anyone to come out and grab every issue. I don't, because especially with the economy, I don't expect those things. But you do have the fans that do. And then you have the fans that will come out and they'll just give you a word of support, or they'll give you a share, or they'll talk to people about the product.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the wins, man. Those are the wins all day long. So then you go, oh man, this is what I'm getting to. Is I keep seeing this comment on Facebook, and I keep seeing it on Instagram, where people are like, how do you know you've got it? How do you know you've succeeded? Okay. You succeed when you have a fan base. I don't give a shit about the money. I don't give a shit about your how many fucking tweets you get or anything like that. It's about the fan base. If you have a loving fan base, you're there. You've already got it. You've reached that pinnacle of what everyone wants if they're doing it the right way. If they're
Yep.
doing it for the right reasons, you've reached that pinnacle. Now you just grow. You grow with your fan base. You grow with your teams. You notice I don't call anybody that works with us contractors. I don't believe in that shit. This is a team of folks. They're out here busting their balls on the daily. Let me tell you, it's on the daily.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll get it's funny because people will be like, well, how long I had a dude reach out and was talking to us on Facebook, and he's asking about Sean's cover he's got coming up for If It Hops. No, it was the Fallen Leaves cover that Sean Forty did, cover A for Fallen Leaves. How long did that take? Sean was like 12 to 15 hours. 12 to 15 hours. And that's his whole day. That's 12 to 15 fucking hours,
Yeah.
you know? And he's coloring it too, you know? So it's like, if you don't love it, you don't do it. You know what I mean? Not hours like that. You don't put in time like that. And I think that it's very telling, your brand loyalty, your the team mentality. What do you bring to these folks that are putting in 12 to 15 hours on a cover for you? What are you bringing to the fans? Are you bringing good storytelling? Are you bringing art you can be proud of? Or are you bringing shit you phoned in? Let me tell you something. If you paid $20 for a page, you're not doing it right. You're not doing
No.
it. I don't care if. See, this is one of those things where, excuse. This is one of those things where you'll see people, and they're like, "It's my dream," and you're like, "Dope, work for your dream." But I'm gonna tell you what. This is not a dream without pockets. You can't walk into this and just be like, "I'm gonna go at it. It's gonna be great." I don't know. I think I dropped like $20,000 into it before I made a fucking dime.
Mm.
I probably dropped more than that before I made a dime, to be honest with you. Because the listener, we were only selling like $3,000, $4,000 worth of copies when we started. So before I made a dime, I was easily 20, 22 in, you know. And I think those are the things that you have to expect. I don't think people are generally ready for that. It's like a bucket of cold water when you're like, well, how long did it take you to make money? Fuck, over a year and a half, 2 fucking years to before you're in the green out of the black. It's not a simple thing, and then that's not even everybody. You know what I mean? There's cats that go 10 years that never come out of the black. And it's I don't know. Like I said, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
Well, it's like you said you owned a comic shop. I did too in the early 2000s
Yeah.
before the comic market crashed.
Mhm.
The great crash is what we always called it because the digital world came out and nobody bought comics anymore. Um, but then we also had the oversaturation of DC and Marvel and things,
For sure.
you know, and that killed the market back then. But when you're a business manager at that point, you're trying to save enough money to make enough money,
Absolutely.
because if you're not making money off of it, you're already in the red. You can't go in the red that long. You go in the red long enough, you're done.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, look, like we closed our shop. We were doing 110 to 115 a year. And we closed it because our mortgage went from it was 800 and it went up to 1950. And I was like, there's no way with certain certain publishers not getting their books in on time and certain stuff like that that you could keep your pull boxes clean the way you wanted to keep them. There was no.
Yeah,
It was just it was a mess, and it wasn't a mess because of you. It was a mess because of everything that you couldn't control. You know, and that's why that prepared us tremendously for this adventure. It was like, okay, well, we know everything we learned from over there. We remember what we did right, we did
yeah,
wrong. You know what I mean? And we can apply that to what we're doing now. Like right now, like I didn't get an HOA loan, or not HOA, but a FHA loan or anything like that when I started. It was literally like 5 grand out of my pocket, and I just kept rolling money, literally right back into this, right back into this, right back into it. And until we got to the point where I didn't have to. It wasn't like that anymore. But when you break even, you're going to break even for a little while too.
yeah,
You're gonna break even for a little while, and you may never find that book that is the banger. You know what I mean? You might not find it, but as a writer, it's harder, in my opinion. It's harder to get your stuff out there Whereas an artist, they can show you beautiful work and they can, give you an illustrated, skill set of theirs. As a writer, you're literally going, "Oh, here's all my stuff. Here's a cool story I wrote down on PDF. You want to read it?" And if people are like, "Ah, that's TLDR," you know what I mean? I'm not reading that
Yeah.
shit. So I'm grateful that I publish. I'm grateful that now we have like 6 writers. There are all these little nuances to this industry that I'm grateful that we've got cats that have been around a lot longer than me that can be like, hey, do this or do that. Maybe that's not a great idea. That's a really good idea. You know what I mean? There are all kinds of little nuances to this that there's no guidebook. As much as we wish there was some kind of step by step plan, there's not. It's all to the individual. It's who who works with you, who's you know how you respect people, how you treat people. And I think that moving forward, one of the things I'm excited most about again is to being a publishing house, and not just having a couple books a month, which is a great feat in itself, but to actually become a publishing house is my long-term goal, and to be able to put out 5, 6 books a month. That's my goal, you know. And by the end of the next year, I could probably do 3, and it's an exciting thing. But at the same time, even if I don't do 3 a month, by then it's not going to be the end of the world for us. You know what I mean? It's okay. Well, we'll see about it. We'll see about what we're putting out, how we're moving what, and what fans want to see the most, and so on and so forth. But I do think that it's a new world for indies. And I think that if you've got it, stick with it. You know what I mean? Put in the work, put in the time. You'll create amazing relationships. You'll build these incredible relationships. I got fans that reach out and just ask like about my kids randomly. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And we appreciate that because I don't talk about my family on fucking social media. I
No.
don't talk about my family at all because I did one time last year when we first started getting bigger, and my daughter went to a science fair, and it was in the college, and so it was a big deal for them, right? That they could compete on such a level. And I put up an image of my daughter, and someone sexualized the image of my daughter. It pissed me off so bad because it was like she was like 10 at the time,
Oh, that's not
and
right.
I was like, cool. Well, I'm never gonna post any pictures of my family again. You know what I mean? And I just, my wife does. She posts all these great photos, but she doesn't tag me. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's as cool as it is. You still have to be careful about everything you do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like especially because if you follow me or anything, I leave all my shit open. I make it very accessible to anybody that wants to hang out or talk or bullshit, whatever. And because again, we have amazing fans, and our fans become what I call friends,
Mhm.
which are friends that are fans, and 90% of our fans are friends. You know what I mean? Like, it's the folks that come out of the blue that have the comments or the shenanigans. But it's literally like they will come out and how's the kids doing? I know we know everybody's been sick. How's everybody feeling?
Yeah.
Or try the honey tea this or try that Theraflu that came out or you know what I mean. And we're very very grateful because again, it's the lifeblood. It's everything. The feedback, the responses, the everything that we can possibly do to make the experiences better for people. Is what we strive to do. I new printer. You know what I mean? New printer. That's a big deal for us. And new ways of shipping. Because I don't use media mail. I never ship media mail because it's bullshit. So I
It
don't ship
is.
media mail.
It,
I always ship. Through pirate ship, so it's always priority or better. You know what I mean? And there are. I always want you to get the book the way that I want to receive it. You know, um, so there's just nuances to how we do things, and if we can do them better, We do. We'll hear something and, oh man, so and so did this. Everybody dug it. Okay, well, let's do that. We're going to do that too because it doesn't matter that anybody thinks about it. I'm just going to spend the extra money to make it better for your experience. That's I don't put ads in our books. You'll never see ads. So you get full amount of pages, whatever the pages count is supposed to be. It's going to be that amount of book, that amount of story, that amount of art. You know, Same thing with like the prints. The prints are all cardstock. You know what I mean? They're all really nice prints. If you get a metal, it's a really nice piece of metal. You don't get bullshit. And because of the fact, again, you're look, man, if you read comics now, chances are in 15, 20 years you're still reading comics. Okay. So I want to build a lifelong relationship with the lifeblood. That's what I want. Lifelong fucking relationships. Do you enjoy our books now? I want you to enjoy them 20 years from now. And because I realize that after a long, heartfelt conversation with some amazing folks, that these books are going to outlast us. Okay, they're going to outlast us. These characters, agency especially, agency is going to be around a long time. So it's like if I can cement their place in your heart and in your worlds, then they'll be around forever. Like the K pillow behind me. There are 40 people in this country right now, in this country alone, that have K pillows on their beds. It's like I love Agent K. Never imagined I'd put an Agent K pillow on somebody's bed. That stuff's cool as fuck. You know,
Well, and that's what people have to remember too, though, is in the indie scene is always going to be different than the main line,
for sure.
and this is why, and this is what I learned over years is I'm an old fiend from the
Right?
'90s.
For sure.
Um, they actually care about their fans. They care about the people that they interact with.
Yeah,
Like I can message you any day, and we'll just bullshit for hours. Like we could do
absolutely.
that. Uh,
I'm about that
versus
life. I enjoy talking to y'all.
but if I go to say a big name in like say Marvel or DC, I'm not going to get that same interaction. And the reason being is that I understand that they have more responsibilities than that what they had when they first started, and so they don't have the time. But if you can't make time for your fans sometime, you lost all your fans.
Oh, right. Sure. That's a
It's like
sad thing, man.
it is like I was a huge Jim Lee fan in the
Yeah,
'80s when he first came out.
for sure.
'80s, X-Men, '90s, and I love seeing it when he built Image.
Yeah.
Him and McFarlane. Um, but I can't just go message Jim Lee today. I can't go
No,
message McFarlane. But
no.
you know who I could still message today? Will Spertasio, Mark
Okay.
Silvestri,
Yeah.
and Billy Tucci.
Those are a couple good names to be able to message, man.
And the reason is like they still make the time because
Absolutely.
they don't have the same responsibilities that the Lees McFarlanes have now.
Man,
And
I'll say this. It's an amazing thing to be able to um I've had drinks with some of the coolest folks in this industry. Like hands down, some of the coolest folks in this industry. I've eaten dinner at the craziest fucking places with some of the coolest motherfuckers you could ever meet. But at the same time, I can't reach out to some of those cats and get a response. You know what I mean? Like I'll get one. It'll take a week or two. You know what I mean? I'll
Mhm.
get one. It'll take a while. But if I go to, let's say that, like if I got something going on and uh Marissa Pope and I have worked together for years. If I'm doing a show and Marissa's doing a show, we're probably hanging out. You know what I mean? That's or like Ryan Kincaid or anybody that runs in the same circles that I run it. Chances are if Coffin's doing something, I can show up and hang out. You know what I mean? Or but there are folks that like we've got I don't know 6 folks that have come from Marvel right now to work with us, but I can't go to Marvel at an event and shack up like I can with other people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
you know, uh, you get the side eye. You know what I mean? And it's like, even though your fan base is large, you're still going to cop a side eye because they don't give a fuck who you are. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They don't. If you're not going to come over there and work for them, they don't fucking care about you.
Yeah.
And that's sadly that is that is the echelon. You know what I mean? That is the DCs. The as much as we like Jim Lee for being a nice dude, Jim Lee doesn't control that shit. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's all run by other people. You know what I mean? So like if you come up to an event and you're like, hey, look, I'm with um even Aspen, like we can walk up to the Aspen folks, hang out with the Aspen folks. You know what I mean? It's primarily Marvel and DC that or will be like, oh yeah, they're not with us. There could be 100 of us,
yeah.
and they'd still be like, oh, they're great artists. Even the folks that worked for them before, you know, they're still not going to recognize you when you come to an event, or they're not coming out to us with us and going, hey, look, go grab like if you came out right. Let's say that um, we've got 15 of us at a show that we're all hanging out, and you come up and you're like, hey, Dustin, what are you guys doing for dinner? And I'm like, well, fuck, what are we doing for dinner? And I'm asking everybody what's going on. And then you're like, well, I've got, a buddy that works at this restaurant here in town and we can get like 5 tables. You want to come hang out? Marvel's not going to be like, yeah, we're going to come hang out. But we're going to go, yeah, fuck, Nate, let's go
Let's
fucking
go
hang
eat
out.
it.
You know what I mean? Let's go. Well, how are we getting there? You know what I mean? But that's how we are. You know what I mean? That's how, because we give a fuck about the fans. And that's not to say that Marvel doesn't give a fuck about their fans, but it's a very personal thing. It's very different. We're like, I will one on one with you all day. I will hang out with you. I will eat with you. I will whatever, because who you are as a person. So, but then you'll go, like, we had a dude that we'd never met that was like, hey, look, we're going to do this. You want to go hang out? And a couple people were like apprehensive. And I'm like, what the fuck ever, let's go. You know what I mean? So we go, we have a great time, and we sign books, and we bullshit till 4 in the fucking morning, and then we get rides back to the hotel. It's just those are the things, man, that not only make a difference to us, but it's a huge difference to the fans as well. Because you're taking your time to show that you give a fuck about them. Look, man, I got there are pictures of me everywhere, like doing stupid ass shit with my fans, like
Yep.
stupid ass shit. Because they're great people and I love being around them and I love spending time with them. It's we could go and I mean, Jesus, we could do whatever, and we're all gonna have fun. We're all gonna have fucking fun, you know. And it's not even like you can bullshit about books all you want, and we'll go with the flow because that's the direction the conversation has been in. But we may not even talk about books all night. We may talk about your favorite fucking band, or what kind of fucking video games you're into, or what kind of art do you really like. You know what I mean? It's just very fluid, man, because it becomes a different experience. You've moved yourself from the friend and from the fan to the Fran. Now we give a fuck about what you guys are talking about. We care about the situation, and it's not out there just about business. We're not just showing out because of business. We're there legitimately enjoying your time, you know, and
Well,
that's
it's
powerful.
like during I went to Fan Expo in Dallas this year, um, and Chris and Knott was there, and Chris was I've known Chris for years,
Yeah, great dude for sure.
dude. We sat there for 2 hours at Fan Expo just bullshitting, right across from Murphy and Merck and all those guys,
Yeah,
and then Murphy walks over, and then Sean walks over, and that's the thing is like this kind of community you can do that, and nobody gives a damn because you know why? We're having a fun time.
Exactly.
We're going to the conventions for what we used to go to conventions for. Is
Yes.
to have fun. It's like
Absolutely.
it's like Ryan was there, Marissa was there, Ariel Diaz was there.
Uh-huh.
I mean all the people of today. Now, is would I love to see all my old independent guys there? Yeah, and guess what? Some of them still do it.
For sure.
Ebass. I've been watching Ebass's art since he was doing Witchblade.
There you
You
go.
know,
He's a
you
good
know,
dude. Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
and I can message him today, and he will respond today or tomorrow
Yep.
morning. But he's one of those guys. He never forgot. Like after all the years with Top Cow,
Yep.
Image, Zenoscope, everywhere he's been, he still remembers it. So it's good to see that we have some of those old guys still do it. Richard Ortiz,
Oh
is
yeah.
another example. He's a good dude. You said Alberti. I've
Mhm.
got artwork from Alberti he did before he even started, like big.
That's awesome.
He emailed me or messaged me.
He's sweet as fuck. Like
He
he's sweet as
is.
fuck. Yeah, for sure.
And he's like, "Hey Nate, what kind of artwork do you want?" Because he knows I'm a Lady Death guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, "What do you want?" And I said, "All right, it's gonna be Lady Death." And I said, "Well, let's instead of one, let's do two."
You know?
So we did Lady Death and Purgatory.
There you
Yeah,
go. Yeah,
but
yeah, for
old
sure.
school port. I was like, and he had fun. He said, "What do you want?" I don't care. You just have fun. Do it. I'm paying you to do it.
Yeah,
But
he's man. So this is fun because this is his first like sequential, like ongoing series. So I'm really, really excited for him. And he's really, really fun to work with. Like really fun to work with. Um, and then, like I said, Ed Garcia's great. We work with Ed Garcia a lot. He does interiors for like two different books of ours right now. You know, Marcelo Salazar works with us. He does all the fallen leaves stuff. But you're starting to see a trend. If you look at our artists and you look at what we're doing, you can keep up with what we've got going on. You know what I mean? Like it's
mhm,
literally like I like-minded individuals. I am all about the team mentality because you build it together, you win together. That's how it works. So I'm very, very thrilled with everyone that we've got, working with us and everything we've got going on. Um, and it's phenomenal to see. Like Greg Bow. You see Greg Bow everywhere now. Like he
oh
goes all
yeah,
over the place. I love seeing him go all over the place. He's an absolute pleasure to be on a team with. And he's constantly full of amazing advice. And it's awesome to work with a guy that's been doing it, since the 90s. You know what I mean? Same thing with, the Massey brothers. It's great to work with those guys. They've been doing it forever, and it's just as we continue to grow, and the Kemps, Dan and Dave Kemp both work
yeah.
with us. It's I he had me laughing earlier tonight. Dan Kemp was like, "Hey, do you know I worked on Follow the Leader?" And I was like, "From Corn?"
Yeah, the cover.
I had no fucking clue. Like zero fucking clue. And I'm fangirling over that. You know what I mean? Like zero fucking clue. I'm like, this guy colors for me all the time, and he's fucking coloring for McFarlane and fucking Corn back in the day and shit. And so it's like, it's just, I'm very, very grateful to all these incredible human beings, that we have the chance that we can call team members, or teammates or friends or what the fuck ever. You know what I mean? It's an incredible experience to learn as well. I am not one of those people that runs the ship and is like, well, I fucking know it all because I goddamn sure don't. So when these cats are like, hey, have you tried this? Or hey, are we working on this? Hey, let's do something in this direction. I'm on it, man. Like I'm fucking on it. And I'm on it so hard I'm taking fucking notes. Like
Yeah,
it's because it's again, when we win, we all win. It's a very awesome thing to see. You know, especially when your artists are excited. You know, they're ready to do it. They want to do it. You know, it's, oh my gosh, we got so and so. You know, I laugh with April all the time because she loves C. Like she's fucking head over heels with C. Talk like a motherly love for fucking C. Don't fuck with C or April will lose her shit. So it's awesome to watch, and it's powerful. Um,
Well, and the fun part too, though, is that you see where your characters are today. You know where they're going to go tomorrow,
right,
but you don't know where they're going to be in 20 years. And as an owner of a character, that sometimes is a nervous thing, but at the same time, it's a fun thing because you know that you've laid out the guide work for that character
right.
and that it's going to keep going. You know, it's like April. I mean, I watch her on Artist Alley.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
for sure.
when she does the drawing stuff, and and you can tell like she takes like possession during that time frame, and she wants to make sure it's done right.
Absolutely.
Same way with JT and Sean.
Yep.
Um,
Oh my gosh, Sean is so fun to watch.
and he's
Sean,
fast. Like he is fast. I
yeah.
like because I think you had him on or it was he you was Sean and somebody were doing a drawing on a page. It was like a it was, what was it?
Well, they do Sean and they do the drawing on Thursday nights, like every month.
Yeah, and it was like they were doing a BGD, drawing.
Oh
It
wow, I don't know. That might have been it might have been Sean and Blade and Hunter.
it could have. I think it was. I think it was Bladen and Sean, and
Blade is
just
ridiculous. Like
just
yeah, it's bananas. Like I can't even like I fuck with him because like uh I fuck with him probably more just because he's our editor, our director, our art director. But it's funny because I have never seen someone draw as fast as he does. Like if I'm like, hey, look, I need a page tomorrow, I end up having like three. You know, I'll receive like fucking three of them. Um, it's definitely a wild thing to see, and um, I don't know. It's cool, man. It really is cool because you know you appreciate what goes into it. You know what I mean? Like how much time goes into it and stuff. Like we put out that Bladen just did that Ryoshi where she's sitting on the pumpkin and the moon is up behind them. And I think that instead of doing a cover with it, we're doing a print. But it took him no time at all. Like he was just killing it, like killing it. And I think that April wants to start speaking to that, wants to start doing stuff like that, like every other week, having a show with different ethereal artists that are just doodling live. So we'll see. We're also doing a new once a month sales show, but all that will be sold on it is original art, like
you're
paintings and
killing me
stuff.
now.
Yeah, no, I was laughing at the Macy's the other day because I think I have like 18 pieces of original art here at the house of theirs for different IPs and stuff. And I'm just like, man, I'm, I never believed. So I was a big Cavelman fan forever.
Mhm.
Like I haven't collected books in a couple years now, but I was a big Cavelman fan. And everybody asks about Bud Root. One of these days I'll get Bud on the cover. But as soon as Devin was like, hey, I want to work with you guys, I was like, no fucking shit. Like this is like an episode of like Pranked or something. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Somebody's gonna come out and be like, you know, he's just fucking with that guy, because he only does Cavelman interiors. You know, he does covers, but he only Cavelman. That's it. So when he was like, I want you to write me a book, I about fucking fell out. Like I about fucking fell out. So when we started putting Theater 7 together, it was just so easy. It was so fluid, like between he and I, it was very easy, like seamless interaction. with the characters and stuff, and what we both wanted to see, out of things. Like when he was like, "Well, what is the first arc going to be about in Theater 7?" And I was like, "Well, Artie McSkeeto's trying to, fuck his mom, and Penny's got to stop him." And preface that with the fact that it's a spoof on Back to the Future. You know
Mm.
what I mean? So um, that she's in, and it's called Return to the Future. And so we were like, he just thought that was the funniest thing in the whole fucking world, And so we ran with it, and it was so exciting because I'm used to reading his humor, but to be part of his creative process with humor, it was just really, really fun. And I legit was still, like I said, I'm a huge fan of all these guys and gals. I'm a huge fan. So when we started putting it together, and I would come up with something, and he'd be like, "That's awesome." I'd be like, "Oh," you know what I mean? Oh, just gotta okay, compose yourself. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And but it was just so much fun. Like issue 2 was even more intense than issue 1, and I was like, man, we're really tiptoeing that blue label line to get into the red label with this book on accident. And he was like, no, no, we're just going to tiptoe all the way down. And I was like, okay. To preface that, you're not safe from vagina in any of my books. Like
Okay.
your chances are you're going to see one. Um, and I'm not apologizing. I'm just letting you know. Chances are you're going to see one. That's not to say that you won't see a member as well, because that has happened too. And it wasn't like it was like all at attention and ready to go type of thing, but it existed and it made sense for the storyline because we did a whole issue of Naked Ricky from Babe's Corner Dinosaurs, which was so much fun. It was really so much fun because it was literally in a sauna. The whole issue was in a sauna, and like we were using like mist and stuff to cover his bits throughout the whole issue. It was a blast. It was a good time. Issue 3 of that book is actually going to print in like a month and a half.
Woohoo.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I love fucking BGD, man. Like I love BGD. I love all the titles, man, but BGD like harkens to my childhood and like what I liked as a kid. You know what I mean? Like big action, because we grew up with Schwarzenegger and
Yeah.
Stallone, and so it was
Rambo.
like hot chicks, big action, and dinosaurs. That was it. And like when I can't remember who brought it up, but they were like, "When are you gonna write a book for you?" Because I wrote the listener for family. You know what I mean? And which I love the listener. I love writing it. It's great. The story's a lot of fun. But when it came to my first book for myself, like just for me and what I thought would really, really pop off. And I got sucked into the world, man. I'm a big cyberpunk fan. So
Mhm.
like BGD was an easy world to integrate, like all those different things that I dug, like moral gray areas and stuff. Is it what about AI? Are they alive? Do they have rights? Do they, you know what I mean? Or what about tank bred characters that you literally grew in a vat? Do they have rights? Do they, whatever? And all those things are a lot of fun. And the moral ambiguity of all of it, like is it okay for saurian dudes to fuck human chicks? I mean, is that a thing? Does that happen? It does so much to the point where we have negative terms and condensations toward it, or connotations, like scale riders. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's nasty terms for people that shouldn't even be nasty terms, but people are shitty. You know what I mean? So um, there's just there's a lot to it, man. And I think that again, yourself and all the friends and the fans that we've gained over the past couple of years, you guys make it. Like it's literally like I can worry about script till I'm blue in the fucking face. And there's like 5 5 individuals that we send the scripts to, and I'll send it to them, and 9 times out of 10, it's positive responses. You know what I mean? And I'll feel real good about it going forward. You know, and I'll just be, I don't worry after that. Like, I don't worry about a script. I don't worry about the book. I don't worry about nothing because you guys have already seen it and you guys enjoy it. So that means that it's going to be good regardless. It's going to be good because you guys enjoy it. You know, we
Well,
just
like
did that with, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's like with the little previews you get in Kickstarter. You
Mhm.
know, that's a good. I'm gonna say hook, like we used to call it
Yeah,
hook.
for
You
sure.
know, it's like you don't know anything about this book,
Right.
but you get that hook into that person. Like, ooh, you know. And I read all of those. I read all those little
Right.
previews. You
Yeah.
know, I like because I'm investing. I'm
Right.
investing into a
Absolutely.
book. You know, if
Absolutely.
I'm gonna buy this book,
For sure.
I want to see at least a little bit of it. I want to see more than just a cover, or at
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
give me a snippet of the storyline.
For sure.
But there's also a thing called loyal, like brand
Yeah.
loyal,
For
for
sure.
example. Like I'm brand loyal to Ethereal, I'm brand loyal to Coffin, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then the same way with Artist Elite, you know, with
Yep.
Ryan's group, he does.
Yep.
I
Yep.
read all that stuff. Merc, you
Yep.
know,
Merc Magazine. Yep.
Merc. And now they have legends, you know, so I'm going to be reading the legend stuff too.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they're all
that
in the
and that's incredible. That makes it, man. That makes it so much. That makes it worth it to us. You know what I mean? It really does make it worth it to us because now when you go when you come up and you're like, "Hey, Dustin, what do you got going on there? You know, what's happening with?" I'm excited to talk to you about it. I'm excited to hear your opinion. You know, like I was super nervous about adding any kind of spirituality to If It Hops. Like
Mhm.
for those of you that haven't read it, there is a little bit of shenanigans. I was so nervous because it was like as serious as you could get, and like as realistic as we could make it. And then you get to like the end of the book, and you're like, "What is that?" You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it was exciting for us to add that because again those were part of the additional pages that
Yeah.
wasn't part of the original storytelling. So when we added it, I remember going, it has to be fucking awesome, like it has to be awesome, or it's like, you know, because I get that you guys aren't paying additional, right? So it's like, but at the same time, that's not a factor to me. It still needs to be as fucking awesome as everything else that you've gotten previously. So I'm like racking my brain, right?
Mhm.
Like, how am I going to make this that much cooler? You know, because again, I had no idea we were going to unlock those additional pages. Zero fucking clue. So, like, I wasn't prepared when, like, I think we unlocked those pages in like 6 hours. It
Yeah.
was literally
Just
like, because we were funded in 15 minutes and we hit those pages at like 11,000 in like 6 hours. It was really, really good. And I was like, fuck, I was not prepared, you know, and I was excited, but this was story that I was going to give you guys later, you know. So I was like, okay, well, let's do this and we'll build an arc doing
mhm.
this, you know. And that's like with the Stitches stuff for BGD, you know. That was originally that character was going to have is has his own arc as a villain for a point in time in the book. But I was like, man, look, we can build that character up. You know, we can build him up in the background with these additional pages, you know, and you know, and then he's no longer a surprise or something off the wall. He's something that people have grown with and they've read about, and you know, now they're invested in that individual and what he's got going on. Because I've never written from the perspective of the bad guy before. That's a new thing for me. So like in this issue that we just dropped, issue 3, with the continuation of Stitches, was the gnarliest shit, like the absolute gnarliest shit. Um, like you have to remember, you're talking about from the perspective of a character that is literally killing female saurians to build a suit for his wife,
Yeah.
you know, and her being human, he's having to build it to specifications and dimensions and It has to be just right. So like I'm writing these mini stories from the perspective of a stalker. Like he's literally chasing these women through the streets and stuff. And I'm like, my wife gets to read it before anybody else does. And she's like, I remember sitting down here the other day and she was like, "You're fucked." You know that? And I was like, "Yeah, I'm
Yep.
pretty well, I'm pretty well fucked." But she had me laughing because like she would edit everything when we first started, like everything to the minute detail for me. And before I started doing it, like actually doing it myself. And um, she would literally be like, "You went from like the listener, to Greed to BGD, you know," and she would have to edit going through these different types of books. And she's like, the genres, the different genres, it's cool because we literally are. I never want you guys to get bored. I never want you to feel like you've heard the story before. There's so many different things when it comes to creativity in comic books. Like they've been around for so long that you're literally having to make sure you're not pulling up tropes that are used all the time. You're not using stories that have already been done. You're not using character designs that have been done. And look, man, I can't fuck around with the people that do. So that's just me as a person. That's me as a creator. That's me as a publisher. I do not like seeing shit I've already seen. I can't fucking stand it. It's almost like an insult to the guy that came before you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'm okay with homaging a cover. You know what I mean? Whatever. I get it. Like you said, I never want to see Spider-Man 300 a fucking again. You know what I mean? Or the fucking one where Venom is like sitting over top of Spider-Man. I never want to see that fucking cover again.
Yeah.
It's the issue is all that shit's a cash grab. It's all a cash grab. It's just like this Civil War 3, Civil War 4. You know what I mean? It's all the same shit. We've already done it. We've been there. Secret Wars number fucking 9. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Infinite Crisis, whatever it's
Right.
called now.
Get the fuck out.
Mhm.
Stop. Stop. But it's literally like you'll never see that from us because it's like a pet peeve of mine. You know, if we've look, man, you'll never see us homage our own cover because that's like fucking giving yourself a reach around.
Yeah.
It's never gonna happen. You know what I mean? It's fucking ridiculous. So like, but if I can show you guys stuff that is on its own level, like on its own planet even, then that's what's up. Because I write a lot and I spend a lot of time on each different issue. Like a lot of fucking time. So when I go, holy shit, Joe Blow has a character remotely like mine. Trust me when I tell you that I rewrite the entire fucking thing. Like the entire fucking thing from scratch. Because it's not something I can enjoy anymore. Now I'm literally like, oh well, it's the same shit somebody else did. You know what I mean? And like I won't do fucking werewolves. And I wrote for White Wolf. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
won't fucking write werewolves. It's I have a god that happens to be a wolf esque type of character. Yes. But it's fucking Kukulain, the Celtic fucking god. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's if you go down deep into it, you find the source of what the original werewolves were, the Celtic religions and stuff, and there's whatever. But you'll never see a werewolf book. You're never gonna see a fucking vampire book. I mean, just it's tropes. It's tropes. You may see a vampire character, yes, but you'll never see a vampire book because it's not something I want to write. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's not. Yeah, there are a million of them. There are a goddamn million. Every time you turn around, there's a new werewolf. There's a new vampire. You know what I mean? There's now every day it's a kaiju. Now you're seeing new kaiju.
Oh god. Yeah, and I'm a Godzilla fan.
Me
I'm
too, for
like, and
sure.
it's like every god. I mean, it's like, come on.
Yeah, it's just you really want to like um like back in the day, I was a huge like I've always been a Godzilla fan since I was a kid, and but I loved the Marvel stuff. I loved the Dark Horse stuff. I loved when they started the IDW stuff.
Hmm.
I cannot stand these fucking crossovers between Godzilla and the Transform or the fucking Power Rangers.
No.
You know what I mean? It's not my bag. You know what I mean? But that's not to say that people can't enjoy it or they shouldn't. It's just not my bag. You know, so when people come out and they're like, "You're gonna put out a superhero book," probably not.
No.
Probably not. You know what I mean? It's just everybody's hero powers have already been done. You know what I mean? There's always, you know, there's a chance I'm gonna fucking write something that somebody else already wrote, not even intentionally, just because I never read what they fucking wrote. You know what I mean? So there's all these nuances to individuality and originality that like I don't really fuck around with the demons and stuff. I really don't. I use gods and demons that are in biblical history. You know, I do in the listener and in greed. You know, if it's
Hmm.
something that is of a native faith, I've definitely probably written about it or will write about it. Or, you know, like being as the listener is a world where all religions exist, then yeah, I'll probably touch on something. But it has to be so different than anybody else's, you know, that you wouldn't even know the difference. You know, you'd never be able to tell without a name. Like my Lilith is different than anybody else's Liliths I've seen.
Yeah.
You know, my Kukulane is so different than anybody else's I've seen. You know, we do things in a way. My seven deadly sins. You know what I mean?
Mm.
They're all different. Same thing with my four horsemen. You know, like I've had so much fun writing biblical characters that it's ridiculous. Like I said, I'm at like issue 35 of the listener. You know, I really enjoy writing them in a way that you've never seen them before. You know, it's fun to me.
So, got a question. So, we
Yeah.
got greed. You know, he's one of the seven deadly sins.
Uh huh.
When are we going to see the rest?
So if you picked up the Gee's journal, or you've picked which was really early in our publishing, or you picked up the listener trade paperback that came out recently for volume one. What people didn't know is I added Gee's journal to that. It was like 150 additional pages to that book. So it's a fucking tome. Um, but you'll get to run across them actually in if you're if you're reading Greed currently, and you know that we just went with our new artist. We just brought on Ed Garcia for that book.
Yep.
So issue one is literally supposed to be to my house like Sunday, or issue three. Sorry, issue three will be here Sunday. Um, you'll actually meet Wrath in
Yeah.
that issue.
Yep.
Wrath is the most terrifying character I've ever written. Absolutely most horrifying character, because in our book, he's possessed a Nazi child,
Yeah.
and it's willingly possessed a Nazi child. So, like, even though Greed is set in modern time, you have this character from World War One that is literally like the antithesis to our character Oz. You know, he's this shitty, mean little fucker, and Oz is not. You know what I mean? So, but you'll actually see you get his you see him at the end of book three of Greed,
Hmm.
and book four. It's like the first huge throwdown that we've had in that series, and you'll get to see Wrath fighting against Lee and Arya, and you'll also see him fighting against Lilith and Kukulane. So it's a
Man.
lot of fun. He's like he's like Peter Parker quippy if Marvel didn't demand that they PG their quips.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He talks mad shit the whole fucking time. Um, I enjoy him a lot, but you'll also run across like um, the Four Horsemen as well. You know, with the seven deadly sins. You know, famine and death and whatnot.
Pestilence.
Death, yeah, Pestilence is a good one. Death is a lot of fun because the in our books the four horsemen change. They just like the seven deadly sins change. When they die, they come back. There always has to be the four horsemen. There always has to be the seven deadly sins. So they take a new host every time they die. Like War is probably one of the coolest characters I've ever written, um, because he has no idea who he is. Like after he becomes War, he has no idea who he is. He knows how he feels and what he thinks and stuff like that, but he has no clue what his actual name is, what his history was, you know. But he's this big Hawaiian dude, great character, um, with like almost living tattoos all over his body and stuff that just flow with how he feels and his reactions, his thoughts. And then you get characters like Famine, who literally are just existing to watch people suffer. Same thing with Pestilence. It's
Hmm.
literally characters that are just existing to watch things suffer. Because the four horsemen in our book, they all work for Lucifer,
Yeah.
and versus the seven deadly sins, who kind of just exist because they were created by God. You know what I mean? It's like they exist. So just as natural as the wind exists, versus having an omnipotent being telling them what they should be doing, you know. But then you've also got turmoil and stuff in our books that are ongoing, that are behind the scenes, like the stuff between Lucifer and Hades. You know, who gets to control hell and Helheim? Yeah. You know what I mean? They go at it back and forth, and whereas in our book, Lucifer is not a villain. He's again part of the natural order of things, and versus Hades, who is depicted in text as more of a villain, than and having his own agenda.
Well, which
So,
is what I liked about. I don't know. Did you watch the new Sandman on Netflix?
oh, it's great for
It was. I liked how they did Lucifer on there.
yeah,
It's like they made her a female. Which a
uh,
lot of people didn't like, but get over it.
whatever,
Um, but she's not the bad guy.
right.
She's just a ruler of a place where she was sent to. You know.
Right, and
Um,
that's interesting. It's as long I think again, as long as you do things in a way that stands out to your creativity, that it's true to your writing, that's what's up, because um again, like with the listener, um it's like our art was very European with that particular series. And with Ed Garcia coming over onto that as well, because uh, being as close as Green and the listener are together, I really think that it'll be good for one artist to be doing both those books, because you're seeing like Lee and Aria in both of them. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's like the designs needed to be the same and stuff, but um, the the stuff that you see in that particular book is true to life. All the scary stuff, like the shit with the monsters and stuff, whatever. That's all fictitious. But the stuff like the dude telling Sani to or Addie to kill the young girl, the young Chinese girl, that happened, and my great uncle was like, "I'm not doing it." In reality, the girl died. In our book, she doesn't. You know what I mean? And she becomes a main character in our series. But, those are the things that we added, the alcoholism problems, the burials, the how things how things are religiously. Those are true to life.
Mhm.
for that series. But excuse me.
But I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I've not read The Listener yet. I'm,
Right.
st- that's my next one because
For sure.
you know me, I'm a physical guy.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
so, so next time on the next kick, hopefully, I can get some back issues on that one.
Yeah, I'll add all that stuff to the next Kickstarter as add-ons and whatnot. But
Sweet.
there's I just think that people they're again there's storytelling, and when you as a creator have a method or a methodology that carries over to all your books. You know what I mean? That's a like I like Stephen King, right? I like
Hmm.
Stephen King a lot. My only grievance with Stephen King is he'll take 5 pages to tell me the grass is green, you know. But at the same time, if I pick up Salem's Lot, I'm probably going to enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it,
Yeah.
Or if I pick up the Tommy Knockers, I'm probably going to enjoy it just as much as I enjoyed Pet Cemetery, because regardless of what the book is, it's his style, it's his writing,
Yeah.
it's from the mind of that real fucked up place, So it's those are the things that I tell people. I'm like, just check it. You know what I mean? It may not be your cup of tea, but check it out. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Give it a look. You know, um, but it's one of those things where if you give it a moment or give it an issue, you'll probably enjoy it. Same thing with Greed. Again, these two books series were the first books that we ever put out, so we were just finding our footing. We were just finding the art styles that we thought we should, which we didn't keep, but we love the guys that worked with us. You know what I mean? It's not like we had this crazy parting of ways. No, we really liked those guys, but at the same time, we knew what direction the art needed to go in. You know what I mean? As we grew as a company, um, and I think that happens to everybody. Like if you look at The Simpsons from issue or episode 1 to now,
Hmm.
like it's a very very different animal. And if you look at Marvel and such, DC, they change artists on the fly. You'll have one artist in 2 issues, and then the same book will have 3 different artists on it. You know,
And
and
that's what and that was one of the things that killed it for me with Marvel and
yeah,
DC
yeah,
is like I get invested into a story or the writer, or the colorist or the artist.
for sure.
For example, when Dan Slott was doing Spider-Man with Ryan Stegman as the artist,
Right,
that was
yeah,
one of my favorite storylines that they did. And Gabriel Dell'Otto was doing the covers at the time.
yes, absolutely.
It was about Green Goblin. It was like, okay, Spider-Man, Doc Ock was trying to turn into a good guy. And like,
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
so like that kind of story was great. And then at the end, switched them all out. And I'm like, what about the rest of the story? And then they come back 3 years later and finally finish that storyline.
absolutely. Well, that
And that
shit
drives me
sucks.
nuts.
It should drive you nuts as a reader, as a fan. Um, it should drive you like batshit crazy. But if they're doing it for reasons where you're growing, it's different. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The if the artist can't continue or something like that, it's different. Whereas, we have had the great uh I don't want to call it like ability, but we've had the amazing experience to have had our artists and be able to pick and choose, where we put them and what's going on with them.
Well,
Uh,
and you're looking at their capabilities, what they can do,
for sure.
see, like, hey, you're going to be better here because your
Right.
style is this, like April has a certain style that she
Yeah.
does,
Yeah.
she has a great variety of characters she can do, but she has a certain style which might suit you guys one way or another for a different situation. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, uh, it's interesting because everybody brings their own stuff to the table. You know what I mean? Everybody comes to the table ready to play, and it's up to you where you place them on the table. You know, where you can, where you start being able to understand that this is an individual strengths, or that's a, um, or that's that person's spot. Like, I'll never take Blade and Hunter off of Babes Gore Dinosaurs. I just, uh, unless I have to. You know what I mean? Because that was the dude that, I mean, not that he's just the art director, but he's literally been on that book uh, a year and a half now. You know what I mean? And it's as much as his creativity is as it is my own. Like it's a privilege to as a creator to come up onto any page these guys are working on and gals are working on. It's so like you can ask anybody on the team. I write to the artists, like I write to their strengths. And that was not something I knew how to do when I started. Mind you, I had no fucking clue. But now I can go, okay, well, this person draws like this. This is their flow. I can write to that flow. I can write with the knowledge I have now to better assist in their creative prowess. You know.
Well, Dustin, it's been 2 hours, and I have had a blast, brother.
Oh man, it's been so fun.
It is. But I know you live in Tennessee, so you're an hour ahead of me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so I know it's getting late out there. But thank you again
for
for
sure.
coming by tonight, and then thank you for last week as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, like I said, wanted to get you guys out there. Show everybody, hey, Ethereal has got some great stuff out there to read.
I
And
appreciate that.
and if there's a Kickstarter, I'm going to be tagging it on my channel all the
Yeah,
time.
man, I really appreciate that.
You
It
know,
means a lot. Like you said, it's not always just it's just word of mouth makes such a big difference. It really does. It helps a lot.
Thank you, Dustin. And thank you, everybody out there in YouTube land. Thank you, Black Knight and Blue Clouds, Duck Wang, and Tattoo Twiner was here earlier. You guys have a good night, and we will catch you guys on the next one. All
Absolutely.
right, all right, all right.